Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Write-Up. We've gone through this week's Marvel books as well as a couple titles from Image or from Boom Studios and Image Comics, and now it's time to move on to this week's DC books. Kicking things off, we've got Batman the Knight, number 6. Where we left off, young Bruce Wayne and his traveling companion Anton had received some training in intelligence gathering. From Avery Oblonsky. So the issue begins with the two of them in northern British Columbia, Canada, where they come upon Luca Jungo, the Swiss Mark, supposedly the world's greatest marksman. They asked to be trained, and he said once he's retired, that's not his life anymore. He's no longer a killer of men, and Bruce states that him and Anton aren't just either. But upon explaining that Avery sent them, and that they mean to learn marksmanship so as to stop killers, meaning and Luca realizes understands that means they'll need to be better than criminals. And so, Anton and Bruce stay with Luca for a while. Anton excels at stationary marksmanship, whereas Bruce shows he's actually quite decent at reading an area. And Anton is constantly arguing for them to be trained against moving targets and possibly also with guns. Anton explains what got him, or Luca explains what got him out of the life. He was a marksman with Switzerland, and Switzerland didn't often have use for his services, so they often would loan him out. He was always told that the people he was killing were people who deserved it. His last job was to kill a cartel boss in Mexico. She did, but the intel was wrong. He was supposed to be home alone. His wife and child were there, and the wife, in fact, was present as her husband died or was shot, and so, acting on instinct, Luca killed the wife. It's assumed he also killed the son, because otherwise the entire mission would have been for naught. But he makes Bruce and Anton promise that whatever knowledge he imparts upon them, they won't use on people. And so he begins to train them on guns, and one day Bruce and Anton are hunting. Anton talking about potentially leaving, moving on to the next one. But Anton, they bring back dinner, a deer, and Luca notices something. the deer that was shot. Whereas Anton has taught them to shoot an animal through the head and the brain. This one was shot through the neck and thus bled out. Anton is confronted by Luca, and Luca realizes, explains he's seen it in Anton the entire time, and it's a psychopath. Comes a Mexican standoff. Bruce shoots Luca's wrist to disarm him. Then Anton kills Luca. Bruce and Anton fight, but Luca can't finish it and leaves him in the cold. And Bruce says that just like that, he's alone, and his heart shatters all over again. And that is where the issue ends. I'm really enjoying this series. Going into the training days of Bruce Wayne. I'm beginning to get the feeling that this is also setting up elements for Chip Zdarsky's upcoming run for Chip Zdarsky working on the solo Batman title, but I'm not certain on that. Time will tell. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Catwoman number 44. Where we left off, Catwoman and Harley Quinn were taking a girls' trip for the weekend. The one thing that Harley wanted to do was do some roller derby, and she talked Catwoman into joining her on that. But at the rink, after having to deal with a creep that had been following them, at the rink, an assassin came after Catwoman. That assassin being none other than Red Claw, making her non-animated series comics debut. The issue begins, however, in Gotham. Roman Sionis, Black Mask, is not doing well. Though some of the members of the other families, or heads of the other families, are still talking to him and acknowledging him. The derby begins, however, and the Sirens coach tells Harley, hey, you need to get your friend, the Jammer, out so we can actually, start. Of course, Catwoman is busy dealing with Red Claw, but does so quickly it escapes. Catwoman tries to tell Harley about what's going on, but Red Claw comes out onto the derby floor, onto the rink floor, with a flamethrower and basically sets the rink on fire. Harley and Catwoman split up, with Catwoman stealing Red Claw's bike. They go to a restaurant, and Catwoman calls Valmont, asking about Red Claw. Or mainly asking about whether or not Black Mask is keeping his head down. But they get back on the road, and the creep from earlier is now chasing them. Only it turns out that Red Claw has at least somewhat teamed up with him. As in, taking him hostage, taking him and his vehicle hostage. They try running Harley off the road while in pursuit of Selina. Selina manages to escape. The creep's car is smashed up, and Red Claw figures that he must have been hired by Sionis as well, or by someone. But Catwoman explains that the guy's just some creep. He's not a merc or a villain or an escapee from Arkham. He's been following Harley and Selina, and Selina kicked his ass. Just another creep who wants to hurt women. Who knows why? Who cares? But after all that, Selina explains to Red Claw that Black Mask kills all sorts of people, but he hates women, especially now that. But he hates women especially, and that whatever he's paying Red Claw, he would pay a man more. But Red Claw gets paid, and Creep has Catwoman's cowl put on him and gets bagged up and brought to Sionis. To say he's not happy is putting it lightly. And Harley, Selina, and Red Claw return to Gotham with the Bat family watching from above. And that is where the issue ends. It's a fun little interlude from the current, seemingly overarching storyline of N.T. Howard's Catwoman run. I dug it. It was cool to finally see Red Claw introduced in the actual comics. So, you know. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Nightwing number 93. Where we left off, various elements of Bloodhaven were trying to undermine Dick Grayson's Pennyworth Foundation, and it seems that two of his enemies may be joining forces, as Heartless goes to offer his has gone to Blockbuster looking to team up to take down Dick Grayson, which is where the issue picks up. But the two of them fight. Heartless almost opts to take Blockbuster's heart, but changed his mind, as no one would miss him. But he gets tossed out of a window of the office building, and Blockbuster calls for a cleanup. One of the things that has happened with the Pennyworth Foundation is a park called Haven, which includes a statue of Alfred, and it was vandalized. The statue itself was vandalized in an attack on the park. But Nightwing is there to clean up the mess. And he talks with is talking with Oracle. When the police show up, Dick probably takes care of them, hops on the bike he had hidden in the bushes, and escapes with seemingly half the Bloodhaven PD giving chase. But Nightwing goes to Batgirl's HQ on the hill in Gotham City to stay the night, makes breakfast for Oracle, and the people who attacked Haven were unmasked by Dick during their attack. Oracle has a database, a facial recognition database, And while Oracle's showing Dick all of this, he tells her she's incredible and that he loves her. And while seeming either trying to dig himself out of a hole or dig himself deeper into one, his phone goes off and, well, it's his sister, the mayor. And the PD is there shaking down young people. The Bloodhaven commissioner makes a whole speech about the vandalism and how it's so kind of Mr. Grayson to set up this park, and just a tragedy that it's been taken advantage of by the worst of this town. During the speech, Oracle uploads all the information to all the various news sources in Bloodhaven. Namely, that the people who were attacking Haven were unmasked while Nightwing was stopping them are largely members of the Bloodhaven Police Department. Elsewhere, Heartless has returned, and the damage done from his fight with Blockbuster is repaired. We learn more about Heartless. Apparently, the hearts he's collecting, he's making use of and keeping himself up and running. And the damage during his fight with Blockbuster has necessitated the use of a new heart. And that is where the issue ends. Seriously, Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing is absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I mean, the quality, it just stays at the same quality level. I love that. I absolutely love it. Moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Crisis Young Justice, #1. So this takes place during the event of Dark Crisis #1. Justice League is dead. The funeral is touched upon. The funeral for the Justice League from Dark Crisis #1 is touched upon in the book. So, in fact, it's where the book starts. So the book is largely narrated by Cassie Sandsmark, the second Wonder Girl. And how, but Young Justice came together afterwards to discuss things, but they hadn't really been in the same room together for years, and then while Arrowette and Cassie are talking, Impulse, Superboy, and Robin vanish. Robin wakes up in his room at Wayne Manor, woken up by Alfred. Superboy wakes up in Hawaii with Double X, and Impulse is back to training with Wally West and Max Mercury, and Barry Allen's memorial statue is still out in front of the Flash Museum. Impulse runs back to the the Happy Harbor, Rhode Island the former headquarters of the Justice League on Happy Harbor, Rhode Island, which Young Justice used early on. With Tim noting that it seems to be time travel because some of the stuff that's just recently happened, or Superman's death, a big earthquake coming for Gotham, Luthor rumbling about running for president. There's a Young Justice alert. And so they go and all be superheroes. Meanwhile, in the present, Cassie's trying to figure out what to do and tries to recruit Arrowette, but Arrowette just explains she's not in the life. Cassie, the boys end up having to deal with the Mighty Endowed, an early villain from Young Justice. But Cassie starts looking for the guys, checking with Wally, but Wally's I'm really he's more at the moment he's more concerned with protecting Central City, and if Bart's off with Tim and Connor, it's probably the best thing for him. Nightwing explains that Tim's been AWOL from the Bat family for a while, and John Kent explains that he hasn't heard from Connor in a while. But Tim, Bart, and Connor managed to take down the Mighty Endowed with an assist from a new arrival, Wonder Girl. From that period of time, though Cassie, it seems, is still in the present, and that is where the issue ends. It's nice seeing. This was nice. Nice and nostalgic. I remember reading the first Young Justice trade years ago, and kind of liking. I liked the concept, and started thinking at the time that it seemed weird that there'd be a Titans book, and you wouldn't, and on that, but neither Impulse, Superboy, or the Tim Drake Robin were on that team. So, of course, they would later, when the Titans got reformed, they would later would end up joining the team, but yeah. The Young Justice book was fun. Well, so it was fun, But that's really all there was. That's a lot of what there was to it, and it really did help develop the four sidekicks quite well. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Batman Superman World's Finest, number 4. Where we left off, the Devil Neja had appeared in the present and had already overtaken the minds of more than a few of Earth's heroes, including Green Lantern, who had managed to, on his own, incapacitate Batman and Superman. Green Lantern deals with Superman, while Neja tries to deal with Batman. With Neja explaining that while he basically had to make the spell to release himself from his imprisonment, and he means to turn everyone on the planet into his own army. Back in 26th century BC, Robin, Dick Grayson, and Supergirl are learning about how Neja was stopped initially. It seems as though it was that the Warriors of G only barely did manage to do so, and they got him into the tomb which he was kept in, but the door could only be closed from the inside. Supergirl and Robin come back to the present, but a time storm happens, and Supergirl loses her hold on Robin. Batman and Superman can pool their willpower to defeat Green Lantern, and their combined willpower is greater than his, and it merges Batman and Superman into one being. But Neja has additional superheroes under his control. Donna Troy, Firestorm, Wally West, back with Kid Flash, Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, and Red Tornado. Combined Super Bat Lantern is able to take them all down, and we're using pretty much every ounce of charge on the ring in the Green Lantern ring. They're able to also bring down Neja, with Supergirl returning to the present just in time to finish him off. Basically explaining that Batman and Superman got to the 1 yard line and she just tipped him in. Explaining that the tomb alone can hold Neja, but the door can be permanently shut by one of the heroes, but can only be sealed from the inside. And that is where the issue ends. This is definitely turning into an interesting book. I'm liking it. I think it is a miniseries, though I'm not certain. I wouldn't mind if it was an ongoing, though. So long. Mark Waid's writing is definitely a perk of the series, that's for sure. Which brings us to our last book for the week, Black Adam, #1. This is set before the events of Dark Crisis, but Black Adam series written by Christopher Priest, who is fairly well known for a criminally underrated Black Panther run from under the Marvel Knights imprint. I want to say back in the late 90s. But it begins with Black Adam in his more his less flashy form, talking with members of the Senate, and bored, in part because he apparently had a long night fighting Darkseid. And he was able to defeat using the lightning of Shazam's lightning. And upon realizing how easy it was to defeat Darkseid, Adam realizes it wasn't Darkseid and grabs Desaad, wondering just where Darkseid truly is. But Adam leaves the hearings he's been a part of, and turns out that Martian Manhunter was there viewing everything. But he leaves, and shortly after that gets a phone call. Apparently, the leader of the conduct reform movement has been found murdered in D.C. And an operative from the State Department informs Black Adam of this. And he gets a lead on the last person that the man spoke to, and so Adam goes to see him. A young doctor, or a med student working at Metro East Metro East Emergency Room in D.C. on a white supremacist. But Adam tries to ask just what it was that his apparent political rival had, what business he had with the young man when DC police show up and arrest him. But the State Department officer, Shep, asks Adam about his arm, which is currently bandaged, and it appears to be some sort of necrosis. Though Adam says it's easily fixed, and so does Shazam, and it spreads the necrosis throughout much of his body. Later, our med student, Malik Adam White, is being questioned by the police, but he's got nothing to say. Later, he's talking to his best friend about needing to go to the Kondak embassy, and it would probably look better if he was there with his girl. She suggests he find one then. But they part ways, and Malik is pulled into a van and tossed into apparently a portal, or ends up in Kondak, where it's revealed that Malik is in fact descendant of Black Adam. Who appears to be dying. And so Adam opts to bequeath his power to Malik. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting start. I have to admit, it's kind of odd to see I'm not used to the idea of seeing Black Adam not in his superpowered form. It just feels, I don't know, I don't want to say wrong, but yeah, it's jarring. But otherwise, yeah, interesting start to the book. Let's see how it plays out. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.